Welcome to Neuronoodle's Neurofeedback and Neuropsychology podcast featuring tech legend Jay Gunkelman. He's the man who has read well over 500,000 brain scans, and Dr. Mari Swingle, author of iMinds. Our goal is to provide information and promote options for better mental health. The Neuronoodle podcast is supported by listeners and businesses just like you.
Morning, Pete.
Hey, Gunkelman.
There we go.
Dr. Mari, here she comes. It's her show today.
Everybody popping in on time, huh?
Well, especially, it's about her app.
Yeah.
Dr. Swingle.
Hello, good morning, gentlemen. Let me just...
Hello. Well, you could say that to Pete. You know better than that for me, you know.
Sorry, what am I saying to Pete that I'm not saying to you?
Gentlemen.
Oh.
Good repeating what I'm saying, Jay.
I see. Hey, what's happening to my frame here? My little camera, which still doesn't obey. I give up.
Did you get that camera with your AOL dial-up disc? Yeah. Jay, how do you feel about Elon Musk?
No.
You know, he's a powerful person, and he's right some of the time, and he's not right some of the time. How human, you know?
Sounds like us.
And you know, his boring company was a flop. Basically, it's closed down now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You know, I mean, how many people need to be bumper to bumper driving through a tunnel underneath Las Vegas? You know, and as a ride almost, almost like a fair ride. But you know, he pushes hard, and he has a few things that have turned out well, but he tends to be kind of rapid in changing his direction in you know, laying off and cutting back, and I think he does some significant self-damage because he needs a manager and not him, you know, and
yeah,
and he doesn't realize that, won't let go of the controls. But
speaking of letting go of the controls, I'm letting go of the controls of Dr. Mari Swingle, because we're going to be talking about an app. Is that true, Doctor?
Yes. We have the official launch of the Swingle Sonic Neuro Dell app.
Say that 3 times fast.
Oh, just wait till we introduce the other doctor here. Are you ready? Okay, so I have with me David Delvento, pretty easy Italian name, means of the wind. Lovely, nice name. He's the gentleman behind the engineering, doctor of engineering. And another psychologist, Pete, you have to repeat this 3 times. Dr. Nikki Triantafyllou. Did I get that right, Nikki?
Hereby known as Nicky.
Yes, my last name is a little bit difficult. It's not easy. Here in Italy, they call me all sort of names. For instance, Triantafyllou. I'm used to it.
They all sound kind of okay to us, Nikki. So if they're wrong, you have to correct us.
Yes, my name is Nikki Triantafyllou.
So, Dr. Mari, what new app am I going to be putting on my phone here?
Okay, well, what we've done is we've blended like the really classic traditional Swingle harmonics. I don't know how familiar people are on the show, but we've been doing this for over 25 years, embedding very specific hertz that we know target very specific symptoms. We have two families. One is for arousal and the other for hyper and hypo, essentially. So we had our signature attention that turned into alert, that turned into omnia as we started to blend the frequencies more. And that has an incredible track record for really helping with focus. We test these things, and I'm going to underline, we test. We have data. And one of the things we do at the Swingle Clinic on everybody is we test the harmonics. So we do a pre-post on your intake. So, and one of the things, I'm going to do a little bit of chest pounding, why we're known for having fewer sessions of intervention with our neurotherapy is because we give these harmonics to people to use as homework. And the individuals that do their homework every single day, they can reduce the number of sessions from 20 to 50%. Yeah, so, what we decided to do is essentially take this up another level. And blend the harmonics, again, which are tried, true, and tested, with a heart rate variability. And the power is just out of this world. We've done our pre-post on location FZ and O1, and the effects are universal. So we're going after quieting. And what we found is at location 01, the theta beta ratio is grossly affected, meaning that it comes up beautifully. We've also looked at all of the mechanisms of action, whether both theta and beta are moving, whether theta only is moving, and whether beta only is moving. And we have some dominant patterns, but it's changing on everyone. Second location at FZ, we were looking at the high beta ratios. And again, very dominant nowadays in terms of just this perseveration, locking on to things, not being able to let go, which if it's drive, that's fine. But if your perseveration is preventing you from sleeping, or you're locking on to negativity, self-esteem problems, et cetera, you want to tone that down a bit. And we found, again, almost universally, and we'll get into the almost component after, that dampens as well. So we were like, oh my gosh, we're sitting on gold. But as they say on infomercials, but wait, we started to look at low high alpha. And that changed as well. So we were aiming initially, when we started the clinical trials, we were aiming just for calming, for anxiety, insomnia, and, addiction, any of the, symptoms, ailments, or conditions for which people come for quieting. But when we started to look at the data, and I saw what it was doing to low high alpha, I was just like, wow, it does not have sedative properties. So you can use this also for test anxiety, for better performance at work. So, the generalized anxiety, not just for quieting yourself down, meditating and sleeping. So I don't know whether we want to hand it over to Nikki and Davide, or Pete and Jay. Do you have some questions for us?
Screen share is turned on. I'm sitting back, and let's move some units.
Okay, very good. So this will be the login screen, and you can enter a code there. We have three possible licenses actually. There's the clinician, the client, and some general user. So for instance, if I log in with a clinician license code, the clinician here is called Dr. Rossi, is a made-up name. We have this menu, and actually there's two possible training schemes: the audio stimulation and the breathing training, plus prescription and check homework. We go to, for instance, audio stimulation. There's two sounds available: the calmant and the stimulant. It's very easy. You just need to define the length and start it. So we'll load, and then after a while, when it's ready, I'm not sure if the sound is going to go through, but you can try it. maybe not, but maybe it's breaking up now because we have to connect it, but it will be sound training. So quickly, to take a look at the breathing training, there are a few more parameters that can be set up here. The resonance frequency, the respirational resonance frequency, can be changed. The duration of the training and the whole time, the time when you keep in between the inhaling and the exhaling. For instance, 1 second, it could be reduced, it could be increased a little. Then you can define if you want it to be asymmetric or not, like with the exhale longer than the inhale, at 60% longer, which is usually what is suggested. And this is the very interesting part. You can add the sound that Dr. Mari is talking about. You can also remove it if you don't want it, but the magic of this app definitely takes place with the sound on. There's another little switch you can move if you want the difference between since the sound follows the respiration path. The difference between the low level and the high level can be customized to 6 or 12 dB. Then you just go with the start. It will load the scheme, and after a while, we'll be ready to go. Yeah, I'm sure the sound. And of course, the sound that is played is schizophrenic sound, proven to be excited or calming.
Yeah, so typically, if I can jump in here on the inhale, we would have the harmonic playing, and it goes asymmetrically in terms of volume, as well as in terms of the breathing pattern. So for all of the therapists out there, we know that a lot of individuals that are feeling pretty stressed, their resonant breathing frequency is a lot higher. So you can start them off higher and then gradually progress down. The other, as Davide was alluding to, is we also know that having the exhale longer than the inhale is better. But for some people, that's difficult. So you can start off with more symmetric and then move to asymmetric. The other thing we know about HRV is the ability to hold at the top, and the bottom is also better. But again, when somebody is starting stressed out, their ability to hold, they really feel like they're holding their breath as opposed to pausing. So for the individual starting on their own or under the guidance of a therapist, you can change all of these for your comfort. So we think that's a beautiful feature. The other thing I'm going to go into as well is right now we're using this under supervision of therapists, and compliance is a major issue. Okay, especially when we're dealing with things like depression. People know what they should be doing, but motivation is a big issue. So we have a feature which is the Client Clinician Alliance feature, which is a softer way of saying compliance. So the therapist can see whether the individual is using the app or not using the app to help them with their own home motivation. And of course, for the individual buyer, you can track that yourself, or just completely not use it. So yeah, there are a lot of little features, but it's not complicated at all. I'm going to do what people were giggling at simply because I think it's important to show how easy it is to use. So if we kind of look at, can we unshare the screen? Can you, so you can see? Yeah, okay. So if I just kind of take my little phone, okay, and I click on the app, actually all you do is you press on your app, you have your passcode in, and then you send it to yourself. And you're in. I mean, it's as simple as that. And then you choose whether you want sound only, HRV only. All of our testing, by the way, is done on the blend of the sound and the HRV. And you press your little button, how long, what your breathing frequency is, what your hold frequency is. And you just start the thing. A little micro pause as it's loading. Play. And there you are. And you breathe in and out. And I don't mean to minimize HRV, but the simplicity of HRV training is wonderful. And we've done all of our clinical testing pre, post, and 10 minutes of the app. And as I said, the data is out of this world. And I can, if we want, I could potentially screen share. So we've, as everybody kind of knows here, I am very, very wanting to share or to look at gender. But let me just kind of go back a little bit in terms of what we were finding. Okay, so what we were looking at is high beta beta, low high alpha, theta beta eyes open, and theta beta eyes closed. And just, I don't know how teachy you want me to get here, but you know, in terms of what each of these things do. So the higher your low high alpha, sorry, the higher your theta beta at the back of the brain, the quieter you are. And what we found was that the under eyes open alert condition, it came up beautifully. So very, very helpful for any complaint of alert over arousal. So poor stress tolerance, anxiety, anger outbursts, panic attacks, craving, etc. Same thing under eyes closed condition, as I was saying before. And again, how it lowered the high beta, beta, gamma. And just clicking through some of these, we found in terms of lowering the high beta, beta, gamma ratio, it was 89% effective. Effective with 100% of the males and effective with 75% of females. Okay. So that was pretty amazing. Okay. Number two, we found, as I said, that the low high alpha ratio lowered, and it was effective with everybody. That happened with everybody. So everybody got some, you know, mental clarity. And yeah, just getting into some of the stats. Anybody who wants all of this detail, we're being completely transparent, because nothing pisses me off more than people who make claims and then don't show their data. And again, finding the theta beta ratio lowered, eyes open with everybody. Okay. Now, if you notice the differentiation between eyes open and eyes closed, it was almost universally the females where this didn't change eyes closed, but it changed eyes open. Same thing with the high beta beta ratio. The few people that didn't change were females. Okay, now Jay and Pete, here's your test. Dr. Delvento and Dr. Nikki, I'm not going to say her last name, knows this, but can you guess what population or who in our participants, what their conditions were where that didn't change? Drum roll.
I defer to Jay.
Females with sexual trauma. Eyes closed is an unsafe condition. Okay, so Nikki hopefully will chat a little bit more about this, but if you have a female with any type of trauma, okay, I'm going to globalize a bit here for better for worse, when you try and have her quiet or calm through neurotherapy, okay, she's going to be resistant. Not volitionally, but if states of quiet and calm are associated with past trauma, you're going to have a bit of an issue getting in there. Okay, so one of the things we're also looking at with this app is using it pre-therapy to essentially prepare the person, prepare the brain to find states of calm without that creating fear or the brain not permitting the person to go there. So yeah, we've gone in incredible details. So we have their males, females, means. Again, you can see there are minor differences with females. I'm going to hop to, yeah, here we go. Females in trauma. They're not safe when they're quiet. Same with high beta beta. That's a vigilance signal, you know. So, case studies. Yeah, getting back to the men. You can see the first male, we have a 20% reduction in the high beta beta amplitude at FZ. Low high alpha, 92%. You know, so this person had a little bit of cognitive fob going on. Beautiful, beautiful change there. Theta beta, eyes open, came up 32%. Eyes closed, 5%. Okay. Many people were in range, so we didn't count those. I don't know how much your or our viewers want to be bored with this, but we went in real detail, and you can see it's pretty universal in terms of what it does. Hopping to some females, here we can see some of the resistance in eyes closed, theta beta, back of the brain, occiput, and eyes high beta beta up at FZ. So I can rattle on and on about this. My enthusiasm, I just can't hold it in, like the power of this app. So questions, gentlemen, non-gentlemen?
It looks quite interesting. It's nice that you can adjust the contour of the inhale, exhale, and pauses to customize it. It looks like it should be an interesting clinical tool. Obviously, you've collected data on the response to the device.
Yeah.
A researcher would want some kind of a control group. And the control group would be what? Regular breathing for a period of time, some other relaxation technique for a period of time, something. But you undoubtedly, using the HRV, are going to end up with a superior outcome. But the researchers in the world are going to want to see some sort of a reference group to compare to.
Yeah.
But it looks like a very interesting device. The app is intended for therapists to end up introducing their clients to, or is this on general access, or
both? Yeah. We've tested it in with individuals with active symptoms of overarousal. And then, of course, we started off with what I call the friend and family trials. So individuals who are not in any type of therapy. So it's also available for the general market. Yeah.
So it's a general health and wellness market.
You got it. Yeah.
Excellent.
Or with your therapist. Yeah. Do you have more questions, Jay, or do you want Nikki to take the floor in terms of some
I have a question about the Italian society. I mean, Europe has SAN, Society for Applied Neuroscience, which has been going for a while. The Spanish have a society. Apparently, the Italians have a society. The group had me do a little talk for them quite a while ago now. And I'm wondering how the society is going. It's interesting to me to see the spread of neurofeedback and neuroscience across the globe, and it's being less U.S.-centric and more internationalized over the last decade. I'm wondering if there's a little bit of information about that.
Nikki and Davide, that's you.
Well, definitely. I would say that we see a lot of movements in the US and Canada, in North America, maybe a little less in Europe. But recently we've been to the BFE meeting in Ljubljana, and there were a lot of Italians there, maybe also because it's close to Italy, but a lot of presenters were from Italy. So my feeling, and I think Nikki maybe agrees with me, is that in Italy there's a lot of movement at the moment in terms of neurotherapy growing, and also in terms of awareness of it.
Excellent.
I don't know whether it's any coincidence, but last year the meeting was in Italy, no, or 2 years ago in Montesilvano. That's actually where we met up and started just chatting about this. And 2 years later, here we are. And then Ljubljana, which is close to the Italian border. But I think apart from that, there's the SYNC Society, the Italian Society for Neurotherapy. The leader there is, well, I'm not sure whether she's the leader per se, but Luciana is, yeah, very, very heavily involved. Santiano and Luciana, I think, are doing the 5-day intensive courses for individuals who really, really want to learn how to do this well and how to do this properly. I think Santiago is one of your proteges, Jay. Again, not to get too critical, but I think a lot of the North American market is, what can I buy? What button do I push, and how can I make some money? We're not sensing that in Europe. I know this goes out to a big American audience, and I'm apologies if I do some cultural assaults here, but when you have a meeting in Europe about developing a product, money is the last thing that you talk about. It's all about the ideas, et cetera, and then you talk about finances to think if you can do it. Whenever I meet with Americans, the first thing you talk about is the money, okay? The concept, the money, and then all the detail, versus in many other countries, it's concept, all the details, and then, okay, how do we make this happen? It's culturally very fascinating for someone like myself who has a foot in many cultures. Yeah.
I have to say, when I went to Australia the first time, about halfway through my first day of a 2-day course, they asked me, well, what are you selling? Because they had never had anybody come just for educational purposes. And
Yeah.
I educate, I don't sell anything. There's no
Yeah.
software sales or anything. So
Yeah.
it's just about EEG. So
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, everybody needs to make a living. Please buy our app. But yeah, the balance, I think, is really, really important to not forget. Why are we all doing this? I mean, our primary motivation always is we are in the healthcare field. We are in the medical and physiological health care field.
How long did it take to get this all together, put it together? Making an app 10 years ago versus making an app now, things have really changed, especially with AI. Just curious how long it took.
Well, I'll introduce and then pass it off to Davide, but we had the talks almost literally 2 years ago at a BFE. For everybody, the acronym is Biofeedback Federation of Europe. We were just sitting over dinner having a glass of wine, and the Doctors Delvento and sorry, Nikki, Dr. Nikki. They were aware of our Harmonics at the Swingle Clinic, and Dr. Nikki was putting together an app for HRV, and we said, hey, what do you think? We do this together. When we first started, we were tapes followed by CDs, and we were doing, sending files to clients and really having some concerns about the fidelity of the files when they were going back and forth in emails, et cetera. And that's where Davide really came in as an engineer.
So scalability, Jay, what do you think? You think we can get kids to use this, get control of their breathing, gamify it? What have you seen out there working with apps like this?
It's likely that this would be something that could be gamified. How well do you hold to the pattern by comparison to somebody else?
So we had to work on the audio fidelity, and especially for the newest devices, there's a lot of processing that sometimes takes place without even knowing it. So we needed to kind of disable all this kind of equalization, processing, filtering, gain, automatic gain controls, and have the sound exactly as the source is. And yeah, that took a lot of some work. Then, of course, we wanted to have it ready for both Android and iOS from the very first launch. So for iOS, it was a little bit trickier. And that took some efforts, additional effort, I would say. And then we added some features that at first were not intended to be there. So yeah, but we also work to have an app that's very, very easy to use, very intuitive, and so we happy. I mean, especially because it's ready for Android and iOS, and it's stable. We went through a lot of beta testing, and not only clinical but also like technical testing. And yeah, we also needed to address of course, the confidentiality of data. So nothing is really collected, like actual information that could trace the user is not collected. So there's a code, and the user can define a username, and that's it. So there's no email collection or anything that can address to the user. The only, of course, the only connection that we wanted to have is the connection between the client and the clinician. So if the client agrees, the homework tracking is sent to the clinicians who can find it in the same app.
Yeah, if I could just kind of jump in here, I think this is a huge, huge issue. And Europe, I bless Europe in terms of what they're doing. You know, a lot of the new fancy technologies, shall we say, that load things up to the cloud, your data is everywhere for, you know, people to see. And frequently this is, you know, really, really private data on your mental health and your psychological health. And a lot of people do not realize that in North America. And one of the things, first of all, we want to honor the privacy of anybody who chooses to use this app. We essentially need an email to send it to you. That's it. And after that, it's between you and you and you and your therapist. And no, we don't collect any of your information. We don't use any of your information. Now, in terms of research and data, oh boy, on one level as a researcher, I'd love to do that, but that's just not fair. And a lot of apps are doing that. So ours does not do that. It follows yeah, European as opposed to American conventions where we're not allowed to in Europe. And we're choosing to not do this in North America as well. So that kind of loops into, you know, many of my belief structures and my other work in terms of the invasiveness of technologies on our personal privacy, especially in healthcare. So there was an unexpected rant, but I think it's important. I think it's very important.
How do we get this app? Where do we go?
So I will send you a little connection you can post up, but right now it's available through soundhealthproducts.com.
Got it. Okay, and it's on.
And yeah,
so Apple and Google, both platforms will have it there. Is there a micro website? Is it web enabled, or I'm guessing that .com would be.
Yep, that again, we're right at the beginning. We're not over commercializing this. Maybe this will come, but right now you can get it through soundhealthproducts.com. We'll send you a QR code as well, so you can download it, and all you need is a key to actually open it. So anybody can download it now, and all you need is your key to make it work. Yeah.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. But Nikki, do you want to chat a little bit to the real power of going through both the autonomic system and the central nervous system?
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the reasons why the app is so effective is that it works on both central nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. In fact, this app combines the sound created by the Swingle Clinic with resonance frequency breathing. The sound modifies the amplitudes of the brain waves, the electrical activity of the brain, and so it affects the central nervous system. Breathing at the resonance frequency maximizes HRV, promotes regulation and the balance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic system, which are part of the autonomic nervous system, directly linked to the body management. Therefore, by working together on these two systems, central and autonomic changes actually more rapidly, and this what we've seen.
Well, a mouthful, but I think it's really important for everybody to know the the science behind this and the engineering behind this and the privacy.
Brought to you by the Swingle Clinic.
And now pairing up with Delvento. So yeah. Another thing, by the way, we were having tons and tons of issues. As I said, we started this on cassettes, so we're not new ducks in the water. But as water flow changes, etc., we want to really, really keep with the times. So, we were merging, but we hit a bit of a block at a certain point. As I said, we test our harmonics on every single person we work with because we want to send one home with them. And then all of a sudden we noticed they were not as efficient they used to be. And it was like, whoa, what the heck is going on? And this was, about the time that COVID was going on too. General angst in society was up. Kids weren't in school, so attention. So we were wondering, to what extent is this what's going on in the world and the change in our own neurophysiology or psychoneurophysiology versus, what was going on with the technology. And I don't mind sharing, my brain was in a knot. I couldn't figure it out until, and this is a key thing, if you choose to get this app from us, you must be wired. You have to be wired. So Bluetooth, as well as noise canceling headphones, reduce the fidelity of the transmission of the harmonics. So it doesn't work as well, period. So I don't know whether that's going to be a permanent feature, but a lot of the technologies now, they're tested and they're designed for music. And you can open and close, collapse and open music files, non-issue, but harmonic files with embedded frequencies that influence the brain and the brain waves, you can't do that to the same extent. So that's where Davide and I and Nicky put our heads together to really, really try and understand that. And good news is Davide, as an engineer, confirmed all of my suspicions, and therefore you got to be wired, folks.
May I add something about the application to trauma?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's clear that this app can be an important help in cases of trauma. However, when the app was tested on traumatized individuals, especially females, as you said, Mari, the results was not as hoped. This is probably because traumatized individuals become frightening when they relax or when changes occur. In this case, psychological treatment in combination with the app can bring very good results. Indeed, the app can become an excellent tool for preparing for psychological intervention. The effect of the app on O1 and FZ possibly together with neurofeedback, put the patient in a condition to lower the defense mechanisms and have an improved mental efficiency. In case of trauma, for example, can be the right key for the person to reconnect with their unconscious and have valid psychotherapy path. The combined action put the patients in the ideal condition to have a connection with the therapist, a sort of tuning, to develop trust towards the clinicians and to reduce resistance. I think also that this app can be useful for the athletes, for sport performance.
What, Nikki? We lost you there. It can be useful for
athletes.
Yeah.
athletes, yeah.
Yeah, I think can be useful because how we already discussed, it increases stress intolerance, and so the athletes will have less anxiety. The improvement in mental efficiency and the increase in high alpha could enhance visualization ability and help the athlete remain in cognitively alert state. Quickly understanding how to approach the competitive situation.
Yeah, I want to jump on what Nikki was saying there.
Mari, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I just want to jump on what Nikki was saying there in terms of athletes, and a lot of the work that's being done, you want to quiet, but yet stay aroused. So the ability again to quiet, waves in the region of the brain associated with anxiety and influence low high alpha for precision and focus, lifting brain fog, etc. I think that's a huge key, and potentially quite a market for that, because again, it does not have sedative properties. I have to be careful about what I share, because I think we're going to be just sticking to clinical trials that we can facilitate more easily. But we have looked at the larger scans, so full capping, and what we're seeing is the 11-12 hertz light up with this, which is really fascinating. So you get the beta coming down in the back, but the 12 hertz, 11-12 hertz light up. So I think we're sitting on gold here. I really think we're sitting on gold in terms of all of our testing. But yes, Jay, we don't have a control group.
Yes, but case studies with no control group are also the foundation of most of the advances in science.
Yeah.
The clinical insight comes before the experiment. So, congratulations on taking this step.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. Well, the subjective reporting is out of this world, just out of this world. I mean, some of it is humorous. Like I yell at my kids less, but for a mom, that's a big deal. A lot of moms feel really guilty about their poor stress tolerance with their kids. But the overwhelming, I mean, there's no coincidence that we named the app Calm. Right? Just the reports of generalized quieting and stress reduction without the sedation, without the fog, people can still, focus. So yeah, we're really proud of this combo, and we're the first out with this type of blended technology. So
say congratulations on getting your product to the point where you can actually share it.
Kudos, Dr. Mari, David, Nikki.
Thank you.
Where can we send people again? One more time, Dr. Mari.
soundhealthproducts.com. And if you have any more questions or anything, just reach out to Swingle Clinic We don't even have the app on our general website yet. I mean, that's how nice and fresh this is, but it will be there. But our general, you can reach out to Swingle Clinic at reception, or through our website, that's swingleclinic.com or soundhealthproducts.com. Davide and Nikki, can they reach you, or are we holding the reins here?
Well, if they want, we're very happy to address any requests at
Okay.
neurodelv at gmail.com.
Cool.
Jay Gunkelman, Dr. Mari Swingle, David, and Nikki, thank you for another riveting episode of the Neuronoodle Network podcast. Thank you all and have a great weekend.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Pete.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
The Neuronoodle podcast is supported by listeners and businesses just like you.